Hello everybody and welcome to our extra part of Life is Strange 2. So, why are we starting like this? Because I have to explain some stuff. We're not going to include the endings in the actual video. Now, you're probably wondering why are you doing this? That's because Square Enix, specifically the Life is Strange official YouTube channel, has the brilliant idea of age restriction this video, even though there's not really any particular reason to age restrict this video. It's not like there's any gore or sex or anything, but whatever. The problem with that is that when it comes to the problem is that unless you have a YouTube Premium subscription, you cannot download age restricted videos off of YouTube. Trust me, I've scoured the internet for ways to do it. It's not really a doable process. Trust me. So basically, because the wonderful gents at this channel thought this would be a good idea, we're going to direct you to the video itself on the description that we're going to be watching for this. So yeah, thanks Square Enix. Basically, everybody, we're going to start at the 14-minute mark because the first ending that they show is the one that we already got in part 19. So might as well skip.
Say that worked out very well for us.
Gee, it's like I intentionally got that ending to make things easier or something.
What? Nah, no, it's clearly destiny.
All right. Okay then. Everybody ready?
Yeah, let's get to work.
Let's get to work. 3, 2, 1, click. So, we're going to start with a different variation of the ending I got. Lila at Sean's release. So basically, if you constantly contact Lila throughout the game, as you might remember how I did not do that completely, Lila will show up at the ending, and that's it. She's just there.
Oh,
she doesn't say anything. Seriously, that's the extent. That's your reward for making Lila a big thing for Sean for your choices.
Hey.
She shows up. She's there. There you go. She's there.
I guess it shows that she was willing to wait for him, just like Phoenix is willing to wait for Iris in jail.
Indeed.
That being said, it's been a while since we saw her original model, so I can't tell if this is just the same one or if she's legit older in here.
So yeah,
this guy's got more chance of getting out of jail than Iris.
Basically, Jova, since this is the same ending, just with this one different detail, they don't show everything again. So.
Oh yeah, obviously that's nice. I wonder if she also takes a drive with Sean to show that they're a couple.
No, it's Daniel and Sean who do that same drive. Layla has that moment where she puts her hand on her mouth and that's it. That's the end of her role in this ending. I hope you enjoyed it, everybody. Hope there aren't any Layla fans out there because, Layla was pretty much done dirty throughout this game.
Let me guess. If you, formed a relationship with Cassidy, she shows up, though.
It is possible to have her show up here, but to be perfectly honest, I don't care.
Well, I'm guessing that's going to be one of the endings.
Yeah, but
it says it's all 7 of them.
It doesn't matter, Jova, because she's just there. She hugs Sean, and that's it. That's it. I think you can make Finn show up in here as well, but I haven't actually looked it up all the way. But again, even if you do, he's just here. He hugs Sean. The end.
So it's kind of that telltale. It's kind of that telltale game syndrome where some of the endings are just slight variations of the others.
And now, time for the Lone Wolf ending. Spoiler warning, by the way.
I thought she really was just going to stand there.
So this is the surrender ending on low morality. I love how the guy. I love how the guy recording this tried to skip that scene. Basically, some of the cuts.
This is apparently the official recording too.
Yeah, basically in the Life is Strange games, you can skip most cutscenes, but as the game will even warn you in the options screen, some cutscenes cannot be skipped because of the way the game is designed. Probably because they're covering for load times. There you go. So if you're in low morality and you just have to surrender, remember I surrendered in my ending. But Daniel was in high morality, so he agreed with me. But if Daniel is on the bad side of the moral scale, he decides, okay, fine, I'll take matters into my own hands then.
So essentially, I think I get it. So the morality setting is legit just whether or not Daniel wants to go to Mexico, essentially.
It boils down to that, yeah.
Again, I just wonder why him having a low morality is what makes him want to go to Mexico, but sure, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and let me guess. Oh, wait, so he actually can make a bullet shield.
Is this a discount version of Man of Steel now?
Remember, Shiroi, his powers do whatever the plot requires them to do.
Like, now he literally is Aiden. Like,
Yeah.
holy cow.
I'm starting to feel like it was Quantum Dream who gave ideas on how his powers should work.
Wait, let me guess. Sean was shot dead.
Very good, Jova. Basically, if you choose to surrender, Sean will die in this ending always. Like basically, in order to get to get both of them to Mexico, you have to have Sean choose to cross the border rather than surrender.
Well,
Why?
Well, hey! In a way, he did surrender his life.
Well, I'm guessing Jova. Well, I'm guessing Jova. The idea is that they don't want Daniel to force him to come to Mexico, so it won't invalidate your choice. I guess.
Oh, I get
This
that.
is all your fault, Daniel.
I get that. It's just I'm wondering why choosing to surrender or not somehow can, change the matter of whether or not Sean dies. And the fact that, you'd think if anything it would be him choosing not to surrender that ends with
And they
him
kept
dying.
in the
But
loading
whatever.
time.
So yeah, now
the border.
yeah. So now we have the ending pictures be different.
Silent.
Mm-hmm.
So sad.
Then we have Puerto Lobos right there.
You were almost
Yeah.
there.
Plague of pickpockets in Puerto Lobos. Tourism affected.
Commentary?
Plaga de carteristas en Puerto Lobos. El turismo afectado.
Benjamin Franklin dollar messed with.
What is that even supposed to mean? What is that supposed?
That
And
Wait,
I don't
why
know.
is he? Why is he with the Big Show wearing a mask?
I don't know. I don't even.
I guess this is to show that Daniel got in touch with his Mexican culture. I don't know.
Spectacular heist at the central bank. More than 1 million stolen. Atraco en el Banco Central. Roba más de 1 millón. Go on.
Wait, let me guess. These are all stuff that Daniel's been doing because now he's a thief and all that.
Remember,
He's now a fugitive.
low morality because we did a poor job of raising him. Because the primary thing with the primary main thing choice-wise is raising Daniel's morality. It's just about that. Local gang hideout raided by another gang. 2 casualties.
Again, he'll apparently only want to go to Mexico if he's on low morality. I just don't see the connection.
Because the idea is that he doesn't want to take down all the costs because that's not who we are, Sean.
So, in that case, though, are the players saying that we actually should stay in America despite how they pretty much have made America look like a hellhole where all the worst stuff happens?
So 6 years.
What's the message?
6 years after the events at the border. So yeah, Daniel is living in Mexico now, in Puerto Lobos.
But he is all alone.
He is, yes.
Because he got his brother killed. And how does he reflect on this?
That's the thing, Jova. Aside from him having tattoos
he's
and
blonde?
he dyed his hair apparently, and that's it. Like once again, the ending montage is silent, so there's not really anything.
So like no reflection on him getting his brother killed. It's just he dyed his hair blonde.
Yep, that's it.
Are they going for the Japanese stereotype where blondes are delinquents?
Wait, that's a
So
thing?
you play Persona,
That's a thing?
So you play Persona 5 too, Joe?
That's a thing? I wasn't even aware that was a stereotype.
Yeah, Japan tends to look down on people with blonde
Is that-
hair since
that's like
they
a-
tend to be, in Japanese media you see blonde folks as like members of gangs or delinquents.
Reminds me of that weird line that Tony Locke has in Surf Ninjas, like brothers don't surf. Brothers don't surf? Since when? Like
I mean, it's called Surf Ninjas.
R.I.P. Sean.
Well, thank Jova, there's your reflection.
There you go. He buried him. That's the closest you'll get, Jova. Again, these ends,
these edgy.
These endings are so lame. Like they feel so empty and anticlimactic. They don't really feel like there's no emotional closure on anything. It's just, well, this happened.
Empty and anticlimactic, just like in real life.
Again, I've already explained why realistic writing is not inherently good.
I can make a whole laundry list on stuff I care more about than this ending.
Is this in the background?
And now, remember the whole gang of thugs thing that we read in the paper. Basically,
yes, he's the one responsible for this casualty, so they're here for revenge.
Yes, and as we all know, they can't stand a chance against Daniel because, well, he's psychic.
So Daniel essentially becomes a supervillain in this one.
Well, I mean, at least one of them, at least brought a wooden baseball bat.
A lot of good that'll do.
Is he going to make him shoot himself?
Very good, Debs.
Oh my god, that is seriously, he's Aiden from Beyond Two Souls. Like,
no, man,
seriously.
No! No, please, I don't want to. No.
Gory discretion shots. There we go. They couldn't even get the. Wait, hold on. Did he? I guess he didn't make him shoot himself.
They didn't even show anything of the blood or anything. Why is this video age restricted? There's literally no reason for this thing to be age restricted.
Maybe there's an ending where he actually does make the guy shoot himself.
Well, he just did, Joe, but we didn't see him.
No. Yeah. He was clearly alive after that.
Was he?
Yeah, we see.
Yeah,
him
he just made him drop
about.
the gun.
Oh, he did. That. Yeah. Okay, never mind then. But even still, all the more reason for why this shouldn't be age restricted. Anyway, this is the parting ways ending, specifically cross the border on high morality.
We did see the blood on Sean.
Basically,
Daniel.
Sorry.
Whichever.
Basically, to explain,
the older brother, yeah.
to give some perspective. Imagine if in my ending I picked cross the border in this choice. That's basically what we're about to see.
All right.
Well, I'm the one running the story, Daniel, so yes, I am pretty sure.
Okay, my guess as to why the endings are the way they are is like, it's one of those bouts where, you gotta have a bittersweet ending one way or another. Whereas, if you get Daniel to want to go to Mexico, then, obviously, the trade-off is that you've ruined him. He now has a low morality. Whereas if you go with the high morality and do, I guess, the right thing, Sean sadly has to go to jail, but they can reunite later on.
And now Daniel's just gonna leave.
Basically, Daniel gets Sean into Mexico, but abandons him, which is very out of character, I have to say. I mean, I understand. I understand that they're trying to do the whole thing where Daniel learned a lot and he doesn't agree with Sean, so he wants to stay behind. I understand what they're trying to go, but based on what we've seen from Daniel throughout the entire game, this comes across as coming out of nowhere. Because remember, the game did a terrible job of characterizing Daniel. So this move, so him doing this feels out of left field still, despite the high morality aspect.
Not only that, but despite his high morality, he still clearly caused a lot of damage that could have killed some of those police by the looks of it. So, again, the morality thing seems to strictly be whether or not Daniel wants to go to Mexico or not.
Basically.
So in this version, do the police actually literally book him because now they've seen he has powers? Or do they still, just take him to be adopted by his grandparents?
To be fair,
like the other cops said.
To be fair, Jova, how would they even prove in a court of law that this kid has psychic powers?
True, yeah, even if they got stuff on camera, for all they could say, it may have been Sean who had the powers. I mean,
Alright.
look, I don't mind the presence of these endings, but the way you get them does not seem to be all too sensical in that regard.
Hey, Daniel's back home at least.
Also, I like how.
He ends up living with the grandparents still.
Also, I love how this particular ending, the person recording this recorded it using his or her mouse and keyboard instead of the controller like in the previous endings. I guess
How can you tell?
I guess because the interface was showing the mouse and the spacebar.
I guess I'm not too surprised in that one, you know.
Maybe that.
See what it is.
Well, I get that, but the previous endings were recorded using a controller because basically the way this game works is every time you press anything on the controller, the UI automatically shifts to controller buttons. If you press something on the keyboard again, then we'll switch back to keyboard.
Bus avoids lake tragedy due to miracles. See, in this case, Daniel is actually a superhero who does right.
Yeah.
Beaver Creek residents.
Basically, in this ending, he actually apparently grows up with Karen raising him, which is terrible. I don't see how this is a quote-unquote good ending, but whatever.
So I guess we're to imply that Karen made up with her parents, since that is like the only reason they would let their daughter live within 10 feet of their grandson.
I don't know. I have no fucking clue.
And Daniel got his own car. In 2023...
Sabs, this only happened a few months ago.
No.
Finally
that's
old enough to
November
drive.
4th. That's actually November 4th, Wib, so it's in the future.
Mm-hmm.
God.
So basically, it turns out apparently 6 years after the events at the border. There we go. So Daniel is living with his grandparents still.
Okay, so this is another different ending, I guess. So, but let me guess, in this ending, poor Daniel is... Well, actually, no, he's clearly not lonely. He has company and friends.
And then I'm just imagining now, he turns on the news and then there's information about... Now, in other news, Mexican President Sean Diaz has determined that there will be new laws passed that will forbid American police crossing
Hey, look,
the
it's the
border
play
into
box.
Mexico.
Sean becoming president, that'd be something.
Alright. So Daniel is...
Oh, let me...
So yeah, Daniel is
He's on the phone with someone.
He's on the phone with someone, but we don't know who it is because the game, again, these endings are silent, so we don't know who the hell is even. And there's not even any subtitles or anything, so there's no way of. It's like Balan Wonderworld all over again. Like, did you just forget to put in dialogue in these scenes?
I'd be willing to guess it's the mother. Also, is he wearing like one of those security tags on his ankle, whatever they're called?
Probably. I don't know.
Which, hold on, that wouldn't make sense. I thought the cop said that, as a 9, as a little youngin', they can't, book him.
Yeah, that's true. I don't...
What
Oh,
is
wait.
that thing then?
Maybe it's just an accessory he's wearing?
Maybe. I guess it's a new thing the kids wear, Shiro. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, wait. Actually, no, it wouldn't make sense because we've seen photos of him clearly being
hold on.
outside the house.
It's implied that he got a letter from Sean from Mexico. He was talking to his mom, and there you go. Apparently, the parents and the mother are back in speaking terms again.
I was gonna guess that it was the mother because he got along. He seemed more willing to forgive than the older brother.
Even still, Shiroi, let's think about this from the...
It seems that Daniel had the lucky nature of not knowing their mother as well to be as pissed at her as Sean rightfully was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but look, Sean's, I guess, doing all right in Mexico.
I mean, let's think about this, Shiro, from the perspective of someone who actually is invested in this story. Don't you think Karen making up with her parents should be, something that should be actually shown to us? I don't know. It's just... I don't know.
It should, yes. But to be fair, let's not forget, they didn't even show properly the boys making up with Karen. I mean, I guess unless you pick a certain selection. But let's say you didn't go with that selection. Either way, Sean and Daniel are peachy keen with Karen by the start of Chapter 5. Because again, giant time skip, so of course they're on good terms.
Oh, and by the way, for whatever reason, Sean put sand in the envelope?
So now he can have a bit of Mexican soil with him?
If that's...
Patriotism, I guess?
I don't... What?
I'm guessing this isn't a thing over in Portugal.
Is this a thing anywhere?
I don't know.
Even if it was,
people send souvenirs from where they've gone.
Dwebs, imagine if I sent you a package of stuff and I included some fucking dirt, like, from the ground.
Portuguese dirt, my favorite.
Anyway, Sean, here's an alternate scene of that ending where Sean is with Cassidy.
oh, so that means Cassidy went across the border with Sean. Wait, but how could she?
Basically, it changes
Whatever.
it changes that one of those photos to him with Cassidy right there.
Those two crazy kids are gonna be just fine.
And then there's the alternate scene, Sean with Finn.
Okay, that's handy that they're showing the changes right there and then, as opposed to
Question,
having us go
Joker.
for the whole ending. Yes, Shuri?
Considering everything these boys have done, even if, one or both of them ends up going over to Mexico, wouldn't there be some laws or warrants that would be able to bring them back or something? Like,
You mean extradition?
yes, like,
Let
or
me
does it
check
not
on
work
that.
like that?
Oh, no. Like, I mean, if they're captured or found, yeah, extradition laws, assuming that those are applicable to Mexico, could very much bring them back for jail.
Yeah, like
Considering all the crimes they committed, I've been wondering about that for a little bit.
so.
I just looked it up. Mexican authorities often extradite American citizens to the United States, so yeah, they could be extradited.
So basically, like to have just read, this is the Blood Brothers ending with where you cross the border on low morality. So basically, if you're on low morality and Daniel doesn't want to go to Mexico, and you pick cross the border, Daniel will leave the car, and here we go.
Oh boy. Daniel,
Is he gonna take the guns from them and make them shoot themselves?
Let's see.
Is he about to go all elfin lead on them? Oh, okay. I guess he's not going to contort their bodies.
I don't think even this game is that melodramatic,
He
Jova.
uses the force. Ah.
Okay, now they actually.
And now he's going full Neo. He's gone full Neo now.
Oh my god! I was actually joking about that in a prior part. Yes, that's right. Shoot on a little kid.
This is like even for a Life is Strange game, this is so lame because why can't we use the power? That's the whole appeal of this franchise, supposedly, and yet we don't get to use any supernatural powers in this game. Doesn't that kind of invalidate the whole point of the franchise? Imagine a Sonic game where we go slowly. Oh wait. Never mind.
Oh, and of course he screams and blows stuff up behind him. Look, Gabe, you're not Akira. Calm down, okay?
No one's driving a bike anyway.
Look at that. Kid thinks he's Magneto.
Again, if you were Magneto, he just aimed the guns back at them.
This is the oddest Mexican standoff.
Well, Lips, he kind of did that in the Mexican ending with that one gang member. So, yeah.
Well, I guess that's done. All right, Sean, let's go.
And all the cops are dead.
The end.
Congratulations, Sean. You've created a monster.
It's okay. It's a monster that for whatever reason in episode 5, for arbitrary reasons, now all of a sudden listens to me, even though he hasn't been listening to me throughout the entire game. But the plot decided that from now on he will listen to me. So yeah.
So he's like a Pokemon that you got traded, but you didn't have the gym badge to get it to listen to you until now.
Except I didn't get any badges. He just started obeying me for no reason. unless of course. The eye patch is the badge.
Character development?
No.
Lose an eye,
No,
but you get a badge.
I'm not even gonna allow you to end that sentence, Jova.
And look at that, he even killed Flores. Oh, humanity.
Am I supposed? Do I gain points if I act like I care?
What a
I barely
monster.
know her.
You know, might as well list some of the things I care about more than this. The blades on the grass on my front lawn. I care more about fairy fencer.
Let me just translate that. Bienvenido a Mexico means
Welcome to
Mexico. Yes.
I care more about this cup of Pepsi in front of me.
Is
I
it
care
Pepsi
more
Max or
about-
regular Pepsi.
You and your Pepsi.
It's
care-
regular Pepsi.
I care more about the residential taxes that Pedro probably has to pay for his business than this.
Wait. Cocktailers.
It means cocktails. Right there. There you go.
There you go. Thank you, subtitles.
So let's see. Now that you have both crossed the border, this means that you have now succumbed to your lowest of morality. You made it out, but at what cost?
Everything.
What is that drawing of? Who is that? That one drawing. Who's
Is that
that?
supposed to be Sean?
I
It-
think so.
Is it? Is it?
It looks like Sean drawn by AI.
No.
And one of them's got their face missing.
Oh yeah, definitely drawn by AI.
Oh, don't worry, Dwebs. There are people that Senpai doesn't know or care about, so they're supposed to not have faces. It's okay.
Oh, and look, in
That's
the
very
darkness,
true, actually.
there are wolves and everything. Look
Get
how
it? Get it?
dark and
Oh my God,
evil
Sheila!
they
They're both.
are.
Oh my God, Sheila! They're both furries now.
Keepers, I'm a furry.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cover that movie at some point.
Velvet, what did you get in here?
Policia, which means police, of
And
course.
look at all the destruction they have brought. Again, and look, maybe it's the game trying to say that the right thing is to stay in America. I'm just still drawing a blank on how low morality or high morality
Angela,
decides.
the Diaz repair shop. So now they own a car repair shop in Mexico, apparently.
So they
So
were never
what,
sent back to the US for their crimes.
Well, my guess is that they went under the radar enough to evade detection. Because if they had been found and arrested, yeah, they probably would have been extradited.
Is that blood on the window?
Maybe. So what is the idea that Daniel wrecks stuff and then they repair the stuff that he wrecks for a profit?
Looking for a metal alchemist.
Oh my God.
Don't worry, you get a metal one.
Wait. Daniel literally framed the shirt that he was shot in? Why?
What
As a
the
memento-
fuck?
I got it. It's a reminder for why we can't go back.
Oh my God. Look, when Edgeworth framed his outfit, that was sort of a commemoration, at least, of his first trial. Yes, that first trial went absolutely terrible, traumatized him, and that's probably why he'll never wear it again. But at least makes more sense why he would keep his old prosecutor outfit around. Like, this just seems literally as stuff to be dark and gritty.
I actually kind of like this, and like the ending where they both go to Mexico is actually my favorite because it's the
really?
it's the only remotely close to a somewhat, endearing brotherly thing. They're brothers in crime and shit. Yeah, it's morally evil, but I do kind of enjoy the idea of these two starting a new life together and supporting each other and everything. Again, this is supposedly about brotherhood, but again, obviously the game doesn't earn any of this crap. It's okay. Daniel will save the day. Go on.
Question: why does Daniel only get a goatee in the ending where you both choose to stay in the United States? Seriously, in every other ending, Daniel's a clear face, but in that one, oh my
Just
God,
break his arm.
He
Right.
broke
oh my
his
God,
arm.
they actually do pull an elfin lead. Jesus.
Also, why did Sean drop the eye patch?
Sorry, Shirai. I guess the game really is that gruesome.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Irving. Now get the fuck out.
I said melodramatic, but no, that show is pretty gruesome.
Mandwebs,
I guess to be fair, they didn't go to the exact lengths Elfin Lead does, but
this mod of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is really weird.
Yeah, no, I didn't know San Andreas was where you actually play as kids.
Nah, not enough F-bombs.
Oh, you've seen San Andreas, Shiroi.
Well,
They're pretty, it's a pretty big franchise.
Well, San Andreas is the most beloved of the GTA games in a lot of ways, Jova. So, like, if you ask people what is your favorite GTA game, most people will answer San Andreas. So it's the most iconic one.
It's
Well,
the
it does
biggest
have
franchise made in Britain.
Well, it does have Samuel Jackson in it, after all.
Oh, sure. I mean, Rockstar is.
They're from a Scottish developer.
Yeah.
It's funny because San Andreas.
Not to mention, this is the only ending where these two get even somewhat of a personal happy ending for themselves. So.
Is it happy though? Like.
Well, I mean, they seem happy. They look happy.
They seem chill.
I ask because an earlier bit of this ending showed Sean looking, almost ashamed of like, oh, this is what I've done to Daniel or not.
No thanks.
And he smokes.
No thanks. I'm quitting. These things will kill you.
And a little bit of a smoking thing. I don't. Oh, I see. Sean, I think, has the artificial eye thing again.
Mm-hmm.
And now Sean is taking up smoking, I guess, because he feels ashamed of what he did to Daniel?
I don't know, it's just because
the copium.
They're trying to do the whole, they're just chilling and smoking and shit.
Hey, bro.
Hey, bro. Yeah, this feels earned, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest, it's the most of all the endings I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Pedro, that this is the better of all the endings.
I mean, if anything, because it feels like there's some kind of catharsis for everything that's happened so far.
I guess to me it just feels messed up that, the best ending is attained by low morality. That feels like such a backwards mentality to have. Like, normally, the idea of a game is to reward you with a more uplifting bout if you choose the higher morality.
But don't you see, Jova? This game is unconventional. It doesn't want to do that. It's a bit too traditional for this game's taste. It wants to try something different.
Well,
I'll be honest, I don't think even this game knows what it's doing half the time.
Well, that was it, everybody. That was Life is Strange 2. Shiroi, final thoughts, please.
Good lord.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's really hard to care about this, which is pretty awful considering the subject matter of this story. Like, you kind of have to screw up really bad to get a person to not care about this.
I'll do one better for you, Shuri. What actually was the subject material? Because at first you think it's racism, but then there's the religious aspects, then suddenly there's the whole choosing to go between one country or another. Like, yeah, I guess you could say politics in general, but I feel like this game has, so much stuff going on that it loses focus. But assuming you're talking about the racism thing, yeah, I agree still.
Yeah, the racism, since, despite the story not having a clear focus, that is the main thing they seem to be going for.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, not only, a subject matter like this, but also when they're applying it to children.
Mm-hmm.
They screwed this up so badly. It's I do not care. And that sounds awful to say. But it's the writer's fault, not mine. So
they literally have a scene where police just open fire on a little kid. No, I'm sorry. Yes, maybe this happens in real life, but no. Statistically, police would not normally open fire on a little preteen child unless they were just blatantly evil.
Which, to be fair, a lot of them are, but not everyone is, which is another big problem with this story. It's very, they seem to portray everything as a hard rule.
Generalizing.
Yeah.
Black and white.
Yeah, I didn't want to use that phrasing, but yeah, pretty much. I thought that would be a bit on the nose, even though it is a great phrase to use. It is a bit on the nose.
but Shiroi, clearly everyone that disagrees with my views is an evil monster that should be eradicated. That's how things work. That's how things work, right?
The story doesn't even make sense from the get-go either, because it was a freak explosion. We've said this multiple times, and like, I know some people are probably sick of hearing it, but it bears repeating.
It bears repeating.
There's no fingerprints or blood from the cop or the boys or anything. And it's like, how do you pin this on them? Because, like, even if you were to go through the whole thing that I said before about, they're trying desperately to pin this on them anyway because they're racist, like, maybe that's what the story was trying to go for. But they can't even do that because it was a supernatural event. Like, you've got nothing. Like, you've literally got nothing.
I get the feeling, sure, even the writers realize that, because you'll notice they're incredibly vague in the end with what Sean actually is getting charged with. Now, sure, yeah, there's all his other crimes, which he did actually do and is guilty of, but when it comes to the whole thing with the cop, like, yeah, they do clarify that, yes, the cop was a rookie, which ironically might eliminate the idea of him being racist in the get-go, but I don't even know if the writers were keeping track of that at this point. But they are very vague on if they're actually charging Sean with, I guess, manslaughter, since they actually let him out. Like, it's so unclear. And again, my take is, it's the writers wanting to do that thing of, oh, every ending is bittersweet in some way, shape, or form. And yet, I'll be honest, while we pretty much have agreed that Blood Brothers is probably the best ending, I don't get the feeling that that was the intention on the writer's part. Again, usually it's the high morality that's supposed to get you the better endings with your typical logic, and again, despite what the writers claim are all these problems in America, the high morality for Daniel seems to suggest toughing it out and staying in the state. So my only proper bet on just, common sense logic is that they meant for the ending where they both stay in the States to be the best ending.
Indeed.
Just an educated guess on my part.
That's the thing, Shiro, about the whole vagueness of the charges. The thing, remember, like, I still get back to that stupid line from that conversation with Flores, where she literally asks Sean, are you sure you didn't get mad and go after the officer? Yeah, of course, because we saw the truck got fucking flown over and turned again, and your house exploded. Did you do that?
I understand, them questioning them about that in the interrogation at the very end of the game, because, everywhere they go, freak explosions keep happening. They're gonna be asking questions. There's no evidence, but I think it's right to ask the questions about that. But for the whole story to latch on to what happened at the beginning, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. And again, I feel like the only reason Sean's pressed for all these charges and has to go to jail if he stays in America is to make the choice seem arbitrarily tougher than it actually should be. Because, let's be honest, most likely, in reality, while Sean might get pinned with some crimes, which, again, to be fair, yeah, whether or not the ends justified the means, he and his mom did do some crimes as far as the public would know. So fair and
she
fine.
harbored fugitives, so that's a crime.
And again, like, they could have just talked to the police and made this easier on themselves. That is on them. But again, realistically speaking, there's, like, no fingerprints on any potential murder weapon, and I don't care how racist a country is, unless you can prove that kid has superpowers, you are not gonna convince people logically thinking that the kid somehow developed enough adrenaline to body a cop so much that he crashed the cop into the police car, which caused said police car to flip over, and somehow caused a shockwave of reverb that somehow backfired into the house, blowing up part of it.
He's a skinny 9-year-old or whatever.
Wow, I didn't know we were on Jova's final thoughts.
And, you know what's funny, Jova? There's actually a small skit we have over here that unintentionally works as a great way to make fun of this. where they there's no evidence for who made this crime, so by default, as according to law, the blame goes to the individual with the African race, and then of course the African gets and then he gets and then the white guy, the other white guy who's potentially goes, oh my god, that was so unjust, that was. I mean, I'm possessed by how well. Okay, see ya. And then he goes away whistling. So it's meant to be a critique on people who claim to be supportive but are not actually when it actually counts, right? But it also works. But
seriously than this.
But it also works. But it also works to make fun of this ending, where basically, Joe, right? Here's how racist this version of America this credit is. By default, if you're a minority, you're guilty. That's the only thing that seems to be the logic here. Yeah. Go on, Shirai.
What's that? Okay, go on, Shirai.
I have to give one positive. Like, the recaps are nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Mm-hmm. There are some nice characters that could potentially be good if they were more fleshed out, but just like the villains, like, they're there for one chapter, maybe two if you're counting the group of friends that they made with Finn and Cassidy. Is it Cassidy?
Cassidy.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, aside from them who, like, appeared for a couple of chapters, like, I don't know, it's just hard to care about anyone in this game, even the protagonists. And also, I know we've talked about it a bit, and Jova talked quite a bit about this one as well. Their choice of, considering the story they're telling and how, and you know, how they're going about it, having, like, making the choice they did for who they made the owner of the massive wheat farm was something.
Yeah.
So,
yes, it was.
what are you doing, writers? Please. And also seeing Quantic Dream in the credits, that makes so much sense, actually.
Honor. Because Thieves, those two. Again, would not be surprised if they traded ideas.
I was gonna say, I don't know what they were credited for, but the fact that the name is there...
They're in the special thanks, apparently. My guess is they provided some development support and nothing else.
I recall the credit said something about some stuff was done in the studios of Quantic Dream.
Probably the mocap stuff.
Again, wouldn't be that's close enough for them to trade ideas potentially.
Yeah.
I doubt it because David is not really the kind of guy who likes to collaborate.
Yeah, I don't know.
So what do you think of my take on how Sean is one of the all-time great boring-ass bland protagonists ever? In fact, here...
Yeah, they really did just give him a bunch of hobbies and not, like, have that show through his personality, like, because we know he's on the track team. He has a bunch of other awards, but, like, he doesn't at all, like, among everything, he doesn't at all reminisce about how he can't engage in those things anymore, like, he has to leave everything behind.
Not even just that.
They just go from A to B with their brain switched off the entire time.
Here, Shirai, I'll do you the red letter media test. Okay, here's what you do, Shirai. Try to describe Sean's character to me without mentioning what he looks like physically or what role he has in the story. Describe him as a person, as an individual. Like, for me character traits.
Stubborn.
Okay, okay. They never really do that much of that stubbornness, but sure, I guess we can go with that. Indecisive. Well, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, he does decide to.
I'll give you an example to see if.
Go on.
He's like, don't use your powers. Use your powers.
Oh, right. Well, I guess, but I will argue that's more so if the player makes choices back to back that contradict each other rather than. But sure, I guess that technically counts. Go on.
I guess you could say he's loyal to his brother.
For as much as it baffles me. Go on, Shirai.
Yeah, loyalty, I guess. I don't know.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Brotherhood is not inherently a good thing. What if your brother is an ass to you?
But don't
like
you see,
Daniel
it's all
the time.
Don't you see? This game subscribes to the logic of, it's all I've got, the family. You know,
I've got
together.
family.
It's all about family.
It's all about family. Yes, go on, Shirai.
The religion chapter was whatever. Like that was just so random.
I don't know, Shirai. I thought that was a great comedy.
Oh, it was, and it would be a lot more entertaining to go through this if the rest of the game was that ridiculous. But no, it was all pretty mundane, actually. And as for my overall thoughts, since you picked the route for me to critique it, the LGBT relationship. What LGBT relationship? It barely existed. So
It's a kiss. That's what it amounts to.
yeah, like, and we never see any of them again, too. It's like,
You'll get like a picture of Finn in the Mexico brothers split apart ending.
Yay.
this is just like a lot of disconnected stories, it feels like. And, I know they're trying to show, racism is over all parts of the country, which, isn't wrong in and of itself, but the way they went about it with the story was just like there was no cohesion to it.
Nope.
Nope. None.
Like I said before, it was just racist of the week, and that was it. But I don't know. This was I guess the acting was okay. The game looked decent.
I will give you that it's okay at best, but I will argue there's some performances here that are very questionable.
Can I just say, I feel like the acting was overall a step down from the first Life is Strange.
Oh, it was definitely better than Before the Storm, but well, I mean, after Before the Storm, you can only go up. So
Honestly, I almost consider it a bad thing they improved from Before the Storm, because at least Before the Storm is just magical with how terrible the acting is. And
Which is
so great as Rachel.
Which is interesting, Shirai, because the voice director is the same from Before the Storm for this game.
So I guess they improved. Hooray!
Hooray! Go on.
But yeah, I'm almost done anyway. The whole thing with the mother, I complained about all that pretty recently, so you probably have my general thoughts on that. But yeah, I don't feel bad for her.
But
it does make sense for Daniel to forgive her, because as Jova pointed out, he wasn't aware enough when she was there, so when she left and all that. So him having an easier time forgiving her makes a bit more sense. Would have been interesting to see them reunite in person, since apparently she gets along with her parents now too, having her visit them, because that's where Daniel lives now.
Yeah.
But, never had that. There's so much context missing. And no, a story doesn't have to show us everything, but it needs to show us enough, and this game does not show us enough.
It feels almost like it's teasing us with the stuff we didn't get to see in between episodes at times, honestly.
Honestly, it feels like I'm watching a cutscene compilation on YouTube.
It's because it's
that's actually the perfect metaphor.
It's a different variation of my problem with Before the Storm, where Before the Storm decided to tell Chloe's story right as she meets Rachel, which in my opinion is not really the best possible place to start. You should start after William's death, so we can see her fall into darkness. That would be a far more interesting. But no, we just have her bumble around with Rachel, and we don't even see Rachel get abducted and shit. They specifically pick the most boring part of Chloe's life to show us in Before the Storm, and everything else is just again not told. Go on.
That's it. Just
All right.
not good. Not good.
Dibs.
So, Shirai, question. Better or worse than Life is Strange, would you say?
Oh.
Wow, this is worse. No, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to.
This is worse. Like, for as bad and as annoyed I was at the first game, it was at least a lot more coherent.
At least the characters in that game actually felt
focus.
like. Yeah, and at least the characters in that game actually felt like characters, even if they were bad characters.
Yeah, we had a stable cast throughout it. So.
Yeah. Not to mention the first.
It was much better.
No, this game.
Okay.
This game is even worse than the triple. This game is terrible. Like the only. Okay, it's not as bad. Beyond Two Souls is probably still worse than this, but it's probably worse than all the other Quantic Dreams games aside from that.
I told you before, I'd rather feel something than be bored. So
Okay. So in that case, trick question: better or worse than Before the Storm?
Not sure how I can compare that because Before the Storm was. Oh no, wait, hang on. Before the Storm was Sorry, I was confusing the two games.
The prequel
Before
for Rachel.
Yeah, the one with Rachel.
In case you forgot, it's the one that had that dream that was very sad, and then suddenly Victoria goes boo. The one that the one that has that the one that it does the most terrible job I've ever seen of managing tone.
And let us not forget
forest fire that raged on for like an entire game that nobody dealt with.
Exactly.
Rachel's award-winning scream as she proceeded to set the forest on fire.
And the play scene, yes. No, again, I feel like that's still better because for the same reasons that I think the first game is better, and also, again, I'd rather feel something than be bored.
You know what? I agree. Like, I actually consider it a pick your own poison between Before the Storm and Life is Strange 1, but I can easily say I'd take either of those over Life is Strange 2.
All right, Dibs, go on.
Yeah,
All right.
that's it.
That everything, Sherry?
Yes.
All right, Dibs.
Well, that was something. Okay, I'll start with the positives. I do like the game's art style. It is basically, to me, it comes off like a
Moving painting.
a picture frame, a painting come to life.
That was Michelle Cox's actual stated intention. So yes.
There you go. He achieved one thing he set out to do at least. The music it's okay. And the acting was mostly fine. Now for the story. I get what they're going for. The tale of two brothers who are desperate to try and get away from a bad situation and make a new life for themselves elsewhere. The problem was it wasn't done very well.
You don't say.
I'd say the best/worst chapter in the game is the fourth one, because yes, it's crazy, but it's funny crazy. You're literally just going into a town and ripping its corrupt heart out by burning its church.
That was certainly a thing, yes.
Don't you see it, Webbs? You can take away our church, but you can never take away our faith.
Even though that woman was apparently willing to die just to keep them there.
Yeah, it's just basically she's one of those people that twists and warps a faith into just serving her own purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Which is an interesting villain archetype to have. It's just she does not have the charisma to be convincing enough as to how she has managed to. In fact, I don't think we even really get to understand what exactly is the nature of this cult that she has formed all too much. Just they're an evil, crazy cult of something, but they worship Daniel.
Anyway, the worst chapter, I'm honestly torn between the first and the last one. The first one
Really?
because it's not that. Yeah, I said I like the premise, and I still do. I just think the setup was either boring or just really confusing. And the last episode, barely much happened aside from the ending. Like, you could literally just have the ending bit, and then bam, you'll have saved yourself a lot of time.
But where's
money,
what? But where's
and,
what?
and you save a lot of time, money, and well, I mean, hey, you could just release that as an add-on to Chapter 4.
But Wes, what about the super important moment where we meet those rednecks and we have this awesome debate about immigration and shit? with the.
They already did that earlier on.
But Wibbs, are you sure you understand? Maybe I should ram this more down your throat a bit more, just to make sure you understand.
I mean, the only way it could have been worse is if they ran into an entire town full of people like that.
Wibbs, at this point, why not? Like,
Yeah, literally everywhere they go, people are pointing at them and calling them derogatory names associated with,
slurs.
with their ethnicity.
yeah.
But it doesn't do that.
Surprisingly.
And the actual characters themselves. The older brother is there. The younger brother is annoying when he isn't also there. And everyone else ranges from okay, like the big friend that they meet up with in chapter 2.
You mean Chris?
Crazy, like the corrupt church lady. or impossible to take seriously, like the racist caricatures that this game calls characters.
There are characters in this game?
I'm honestly surprised that the crazy church lady didn't go all the way and have Daniel dress like Jesus.
Well, she
just
gave
to say,
him...
look, the Messiah really is here. Look, he's wearing his clothes.
I'm pretty sure. You know what? I'll use one of Jesus's quotes, my favorite Jesus quotes from South Park, to describe this game. My son, I'm not touching the one with a 60-foot pole. Next call.
I knew exactly which one you were going to go for.
Go on.
Anything else I can mention?
What did you think of the romance in this game?
Next question.
What did you think of the overall pacing / structure, or better, lack thereof, of this story?
There's not really that much pacing, to be honest. Also, I should clarify, I didn't give an answer to the last question because I felt nothing about it.
Okay.
Either romance.
Sure. So, what about the whole thing involving them being pursued by the police for quote-unquote murdering the cop, even though for all the reasons Shiro already explained, that makes no sense?
I mean, I've seen worse inciting incidents in fiction.
I guess.
I know that's damning with faint praise, but
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a grade A version of it. Okay, better question, Dubes. What did you think of the relationship with the boys' mother?
What relationship? They just hashed out their grievances and then they sort of reconciled off screen, and then we never really see them together again.
There you go.
Off screen, that's your favorite, isn't it, Dubes?
Yeah, I know. Visual medium doing important stuff off screen.
So basically, Wibbs, your overall sum up of Life is Strange 2 is nobody cares about anything or anyone.
I mean,
yes, I realised that my stance of off-screen important off-screen stuff happening off-screen can also apply to what I consider good movies, but I still stand by that.
Sure.
That's the funny thing, Dwibs. Honestly, this game in a sense would be your kryptonite, since a lot of the most important stuff that justifies why certain things are happening happens off screen in between episodes.
At best, you can read about it in Sean's diary, but that's it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm surprised they didn't release like graphic novels of the in-betweens.
Jova, the Life is Strange comics, do they have anything related to Life is Strange 2?
I have only known them to have stuff pertaining to Life is Strange 1, And okay,
Maybe one day
so
we'll
if there
read those
are-
for shits and giggles. Why not?
If there are any comics regarding the events of Life is Strange 2, I would not know that. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if Life is Strange 2 got skipped in the adaptation corner when the game kind of began to sell peanuts, essentially.
Go on, this.
Let's see.
I mean, I think that's about it. This game isn't really much of anything. It tries to be about racism, but it's so cartoony I can't take it seriously. And that's about it. I mean, I'm not even sure it was about brotherly love, to be honest, in hindsight.
Well, that's the closest unifying point we have to this whole
it's
story,
more like-
aside from.
For the most part, it's just them bickering.
Yeah.
But somehow that ends with them being closer than ever, I guess.
In episode 5, yeah. In episode 5, suddenly they're sticking, they're close as glue, even though that doesn't make any sense with what came before.
But apparently not close enough as glue that if you have differing viewpoints, you can end up apart. Granted, one of those is literally just because Daniel kind of unintentionally causes Sean's death, but well, what you gonna do?
Anything else, Tibbs?
No, that's about it really. It's not very good. In terms of games of its ilk, I'll at least take this over, say, Detroit or Beyond Two Souls.
I can agree with you, Beyond Two Souls.
Or hell, I'll say because I've actually played it. Fahrenheit.
Sure. Oh no, Fahrenheit is hilarious all throughout. I would take that over this game any day. Sure, I agree with you. I was still.
No. I'll take this over Fahrenheit.
Oh, this over. Oh, okay.
Fahrenheit, not only is it a chore to play, but it's a chore to get through the story.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, James, you're someone who would rather be bored than ticked off or just let down.
Yeah. I'll be honest. If a piece of fiction is just really starting to get on my nerves, under my skin, I just leave it alone for the sake of my
sanity,
for the sake of my mental well-being and sanity.
Because,
Because in my opinion, if you start to get mad towards a piece of fiction to such a degree, then I think you'd be better off staying away from it, lest you hurt yourself.
Even
Or
still,
be driven to drink like Chappie did for you.
I will still argue that just by virtue of Connor and Hank, the Tropical Human has a lot more enjoyable stuff than this game. I'll argue.
That's only like one part of the game.
Well, that's still more than what this game has, if you ask me.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to side with Pedro on that. Like, Connor and Hank, all of what they have in this game, like, whether or not you choose their good ending or their bad ending, like, the content that they provide kind of legit just be a game in and of itself, and is actually with some legit good quality, which for a Quantic Dream game is the equivalent of finding gold out in the boom.
And remember, we now know, thanks to Brian Deckhart's behind-the-scenes trivia in his channel, that because most of the scenes were actually improvised by Brian and Clancy. So a lot of that really good stuff you see in those scenes, that was improvised by the actors. Yeah, of course, because there's no way David could actually write good dialogue, so that makes sense, actually. Thanks, Brian.
Isn't that like with that Home... movie that M. Night Shyamalan made?
I was about to say that. Clips. It's just like when we both saw The Visit, remember? And
Visit, yeah.
And as I was sitting there, I was like, "There's no way he wrote this because the dialogue is actually good." And then we found out that most of the movie was improvised by the actors. Okay, that makes sense.
Honestly, considering how much Shyamalan was a stickler for people sticking to his script, I'm surprised he allowed that.
I guess
he's more lenient with kids.
Or maybe after. Remember, this was after the Last Airbender, after Earth Exile. So my guess is when he couldn't represent, he couldn't afford to make demands anymore, and he had to actually bend the knee. So
that would explain.
By the way, real quick, just to add a bit of just on the subject of Shyamalan quickly. Apparently, Shyamalan's next film is going to be with Warner Brothers, because apparently Warner Brothers hate having money after what happened with Lady in the Water.
Wow, I'm honestly surprised Warner Brothers are taking him back, especially since last I checked, Old was another one of his laughing stock films. Anyway.
I mean, Knock at the Cabin was decent, to be fair.
Knock at the
But
Cabin
anyway,
was.
Oh right, yeah, that Knock at the Cabin thing happened. I forgot about that.
Let me put it this way: Knock at the Cabin is really dumb, but Batista's performance carries it through. All right, that's it for
we can
Blips.
talk more about that later, but yeah.
But yeah, that's it for me. I don't think. I think maybe its badness is a little exaggerated at times, but overall, it's not a very good product. And I can certainly see why, depending on who you believe, Square either took them off or don't know, got bored and went off to do their own thing.
Alright, Jova, now let's prove how much you don't care about this game by having you talk about it at length. Go on.
I mean, again, I've already given a little sneak peek at the long list of stuff I care more about than this game, but like Pedro has mentioned, this might be just the most I have not cared about, like, anything we've commentated on. And keep in mind, like, even for as bored as I was back when we did Ballistic X vs. Sever, I still felt more the first time we watched Ballistic X vs. Sever than I do.
So what you're saying, considering you were constantly trying to stay optimistic for Friends until the pedophilia joking scene, so you're telling me that I finally found a game that broke your optimism.
No. Oh, well, okay. It hasn't broken my optimism. I'll still be optimistic for the most part. Heck, as I've admitted, there were still good things about Fairy Fence Rev. I mean, it's just that they were coupled with a ton of crap.
Oh, I get that, but this game seems like it kind of broke it.
Okay, it didn't break my optimism. It's just that this game made me achieve the nirvana of just not caring what happens within this narrative. Like, I can care about almost anything else more outside of it. Because that's how... Look, assuming you're not buying the bullcrap, this game essentially trains you not to care about characters, since they're pretty much gone after one episode, not to care about the main characters because they're so malleable, and not in a sense where they're good dynamic characters, but just in a sense where, oh, they'll do what you tell them to, and they don't have much character outside of it. It trains you not to really much care about almost any plight because the brothers will, for the most part, make it through just fine. In fact, it's almost kind of insulting that after everything they go through, the thing that kills Sean is a stray bullet. Like, everything they've gone through, and a stray bullet is what kills him. I know it's possible, and yeah, maybe the point is to show how that can happen. Though keep in mind, this only happens if you're, let's say it's both of the brothers' moralities, or your choice clashes with Daniel's morality. And yeah, again, it's hard for me to care about the endings because the endings don't feel like they make sense. Why does Daniel's morality dictate whether or not he wants to go to Mexico or not? Is this like saying that, oh, you gotta be evil to survive in Mexico? Again, writers, supposed champions of racial equality, what are you trying to say here?
Wait, racial equality? If anything, I think this game is trying to say that everybody who's white is evil. What do you mean racial equality?
Well, you know what they're trying to pass themselves off as, right?
Yeah, I guess.
That's always the irony when people try and act progressive by then villainizing the other side.
Of course, that's totally how things... I'm going to be the good person by doing the exact same thing my enemies do. That makes sense. That makes sense.
But yeah, no, like... little, if anything, makes sense in the plot here, and it's just to a point where I don't care. Like, legit, the most fun I had with this, like Shiroi, was with episode 4, where they pretty much throw away any sense of trying to act like they give a crap and just go full psycho with the religious mob. Like, honestly, for a game that feels like it's trying to be as politically challenging as Metal Gear Solid was, it doesn't go nearly to the depths or lengths that Metal Gear Solid does. Like, I feel like at some point they should have just gone all the way over the top. But the thing is, while they do go over the top with some stuff, it's just in the people who they portray as the bad guys. And the problem is that this clashes with what they're actually trying to say politically for racism, religion, or whatnot, and it just makes them look bad. And when I say them, I mean the writers, because Jesus. I mean, wow. It's to a point where you probably ticked off people from both sides. And what a shock, game didn't sell well. And yeah, I think it's like Pedro said. I do get the feeling that these guys got way too big for their britches after a lot of people praised Life is Strange. Again, for various reasons that we have discussed why that was the case back then. And yes, it still does have a cult fan base. But clearly the guys missed the memo on what actually got people to like Life is Strange. Because Life is Strange 2 feels like such a departure. Now look, I am not a Life is Strange fan. But even I can tell that Life is Strange 2 just clashes with the identity of Life is Strange. And not in a way that, oh, that makes it unique as a sequel. I mean in a way where it feels like it would alienate fans of the original. Like, instead of focusing on just one area, the plot takes you all over the country. Instead of having, like, you know, a good narrative that connects all the narratives, here it's sporadic and sometimes will just diverge off on its own. In the original, you played as the character with the powers. In the sequel, you don't. Why? Or heck, why not let us, you know, make the choices of both brothers in that sense? Like, I get it, we control Sean, but Sean is not a good player character in the sense of being a good balance between, you know, you making your choices as him while him being his own good character. Like, I'd say one of the de facto examples is Phoenix Wright in the first Ace Attorney game. Yeah, he's not the most fleshed out, but you get the information on him that you do, but he feels like a good enough character that you can still step in the shoes of.
Not even
Heck,
just
a lot
that.
of the game you literally play from his perspective.
Not even just that, Joe. But like, imagine if they made a mainline Pokemon Gen, but we don't play as a Pokemon trainer, and I'm just like, what?
It's
How
like,
does that? What even remotely is the logic behind that decision?
Like, and again, even Life is Strange Before the Storm, yeah, Chloe's quote-unquote powers were lame, but you played as the character with those powers still. Like, again, the Life is Strange 2 feels like it was made to go completely against everything that the games before it had set up in that regard, despite taking place in the same universe. And I'm like, if you were gonna have the game be this different, maybe you shouldn't have given it the Life is Strange name. Oh wait, that's right! That was the way that they were hoping best to make money off of it, by giving it the same name, which, to be fair, might have also been Square Enix's decision, but still, all the same, I do not get the logic behind this game one iota. In the script, the gameplay, the choices, nothing. I've already ragged on about how their relationship with the mother was terribly handled, especially when, well, as goes for most of these episodes, it feels like they're playing keep away with the actual character development. Almost every single time we skip an episode, it feels like a ton of development happened off screen to suddenly make the mannerisms different. Like, in episode 3, we have a drama bit between Daniel and Sean where Daniel suggests that Sean has grown to a point that he doesn't even want Daniel around. And just no. Up until that point, Sean has been nothing but overprotective of Daniel, if anything, almost not wanting to let him out of his sight. Like, unless something happened off screen, I have no idea what the hell he was talking about when he said that Sean doesn't want him around anymore. And then we get that dramatic scene with him lifting the tree stump to, I guess, give the scene some edge? I don't know. Oh yeah, and in regards to love, again, just like with Life is Strange 1, if you want the gay option, you gotta do some of the worst stuff possible, and even still, all you get is a kiss. Like, maybe that's the developers trying to suggest that, oh, you did all this evil stuff, so you don't really get all that sexy time. Even though, again, it seems just fine to have Finn around in the end if you chose him and all that. So, again, who knows what the developers were thinking?
Yep.
Better question, were they thinking?
I don't think they were.
Not hard enough, it seems. Pedro, clock us out with your final thoughts.
Indeed. Well, whatever. The point is, Life is Strange 2 is garbage. It's complete rat garbage. The gameplay is a downgrade, even from the standards of this franchise. The writing is garbage. Like, again, this game is thematically bankrupt. This game has nothing interesting to say. This game tries to make a commentary on quote-unquote immigration and racism, but it has absolutely nothing to say about the topic other than the fact that racists are bad. That's it. That's the extent of this game's thematic intelligence. Racists
Even
are
though
bad.
we have an option to literally help out some of those racists in the last episode by freeing them.
Yeah. Even still, though, like, again, the game handles these topics with all the care and nuance of a 10-year-old. It's terrible. Like, the character...
So, still more mature than Daniel, who's 9.
Well, Daniel is 10 by the time the game ends, but yeah, I get your point. Yeah, like the characters. What fucking characters? Most of these characters have one trait, and that's it. And I would hesitate to say even that for Sean, because like I've already explained, Sean is one of the most boring protagonists I've ever seen. The Daniel's annoying. The other characters are... Like, the only characters in here that I actually care about are Chris and his dad, because we finally get to give a proper ending to their story, so that's nice. Yeah. This is terrible. Like, the game looks better than the first. I will give it that. And the animations overall are better. Although I will agree with Rybread in his review that sometimes the characters feel like they're a bit too animated. Sometimes it feels like they're trying to overcompensate for how stiff the animations in the first game were, because sometimes there are certain animations that are a bit too over the top and goofy. So yeah, it's absolutely terrible. Like, there's no emotional value in this plot whatsoever. The way it deals with the topic of the nuclear family, specifically Karen as a mother being a deadbeat mom, is once again handled terribly, because not only does she get no comeuppance for what she did, the game tries to paint her in a positive light by trying to have, but don't you see? Well, I understand that some people like to have a wife and kids, but that's just not for me and everything. And like Shiroi said, you chose to have kids. You don't get to suddenly cancel the subscription to motherhood all of a sudden. That's not how it works. Sorry. Yeah, this was absolutely god awful. And yeah, and I would also like to say, by the way, once again proving how our wonderful buddies at the BAFTAs, aka the British Academy for the British Awards,
They did not award this game.
The game was nominated in 5 categories for like the Sarah J. Bartholomew. I think this is the woman who I don't know who these are. Whatever. The point is, it got 5 nominees for 2 actors. It got nominated for Best Narrative. Yeah, Best Narrative in the same year that Redemption 2 came out. That makes sense.
Wow.
Nominee for Game Beyond Entertainment. Game Beyond Entertainment. What the fuck
What
does
is that even supposed to mean?
I don't know. The British are weird.
It sounds pretentious.
But guess what, Jova? Gonzalo Martin, the guy who played Sean, he was the winner for Best Performer on a Leading Role. Allow me to remind you...
I also have Red Dead Redemption 2 in the running, because if so, I'm calling bullcrap.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it did. Remember, both games came out in 2018, so I'm pretty sure Red Dead Redemption was also eligible for these awards.
So Shiroi says it sounds like a games as art kind of thing.
Yeah. So there you go, Shiroi. The BAFTAs are at it again and awarding all these French games that are shit.
Like, Guys, I know European representation is nice and all, but again, Red Dead Redemption 2 was right there.
It's just not to mention not just that, Jova. How about Marvel Spider-Man? How about fucking God of War? And
I don't even.
for the Sirius just said, I'm Welsh, not British. We do not claim them. Wait, last I checked, Wales is part of Britain. You don't get to, like you yourself said, sure, you don't get to cancel the I'm a Brit subscription like that. That's not how it works.
I've noticed a lot of Brits don't like to admit that they're British, especially with the Scottish.
We Celts will remove ourselves. So basically,
oh boy, are we going to see a Celt version of
the Celts? So let me get this straight: the Celts remove themselves, separate themselves from Britain out of, protest for how shitty the BAFTAs are. Is that the story?
Yes.
Is that the story that we're going with?
All right, I think we've bragged on this.
Well, the BAFTAs awarded David Cage with the Best Narrative Award. Well, okay, might as well abandon the sinking ship. Bye, Britain. All right, that was Life is Strange 2. Tune in for whenever we do Life is Strange True Colors. We'll see where things go. See you then.
That's gotta be a step up from this.
Oh, it is. It is. It's in my opinion the best Life is Strange game, even if a lot of people in the community disagree, because a lot of people still default to the first game for as much as I don't understand. But see you for then, everybody.
That's